Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We appreciate all comments, whether positive or negative, because it is very important to ventilate both sides of any issue. All we ask is that you observe the YouTube community guidelines. We'd like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. As McLaren offer on the eve of the Singapore Grand Prix, to make minor adjustments to their rear wing after conversations with FIA, it should be clear to all right-thinking people that F1 races are being manipulated, according to what the FIA allows teams to get away with. Red Bull were running away with it until the FIA made them change something, and now after McLaren have overhauled them, they are offering to change something. I guess self-reporting is the order of the day for a select few. How's that for flexible regulation a la Abu Dhabi? Just follow the WWE template, and allow your chosen team to get away with what they can, for as long as possible, until you get the desired results, or their rivals complain too loudly. Want to establish a Lewis Hamilton conquering superstar? Then look the other way as Verstappen crashes his way to 3 successive titles, oodles of records, until the public outcry is too loud, then cut Red Bull loose and give McLaren a leg up. This is what F1 has now become, a plaything for Liberty Media to manipulate for John Malone's pleasure, as the mainstream media who are either scared of him or share his racist ideology, watch on. We have long proclaimed that Abu Dhabi 2021 was the pivotal moment in Liberty Media's era of race fixing, and we can now show you how the BBC, the weakest link in the chain, was paid at least £37 million to gaslight the injustice of Abu Dhabi, and have been receiving some hundreds of millions annually to denigrate Sir Lewis, since then. Yes folks, you heard right, a study of the BBC's annual reports and accounts has revealed how Liberty Media have been able to bend the BBC to John Malone's will. Within hours of the injustice, the BBC put together news clips to gaslight the robbery, and have been steadily blowing up Verstappen's image at Sir Lewis's expense ever since. But the BBC is a public service broadcaster that is funded by the license fee, and therefore accountable to the license fee payers and wider public. Because it operates globally, anyone outside the UK can complain directly to the BBC and the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. In addition to the above options, those in the UK can also complain directly to their Member of Parliament. The fact that the BBC is receiving financial bribes to produce fake news should be of interest to one and all. People need to understand that those in positions of authority are usually reluctant to act against institutionalized corruption in the mainstream media, for fear of getting bad press, like they were for example with phone hacking. It was public outrage then, that compelled the government and the police to act, even though they had known all along that it was going on. It will also take public outrage for them to act on our complaint, even though they have known all along that the BBC is being bribed by Liberty Media, so we have to keep going until we get to the tipping point. In the meantime, you can take satisfaction from the knowledge that every time the BBC receive a complaint, they are panicking over when the tipping point will come. Our online petition is currently at 500 signatures, but we need more, and we urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign and share. If you have already signed and shared, then thank you, and please continue sharing and spreading the word. If you are on X, then repost our tweet. We have the BBC bang to rights, all we need now are the numbers to compel them to account for their actions. We have to get the hashtags trending and hundreds of thousands or even millions of petitioners. The case against the BBC is cut and dried, we just need the numbers to make them accountable. To appreciate how screwed the BBC is, it is important to understand that they were set up and funded by license fee, so that they can provide trusted and impartial news and reports to a domestic and global audience. The need for an impartial and trusted source of news has never been more critical, as the proliferation of fake news has overwhelmed social and mainstream media. GB News, Talk TV, ITV, Channel 4 and Sky are just some examples of lying mainstream media in the UK that propagate fake news for their owners' benefit. Some examples in the US are CNN, Fox, ABC, and MSNBC. So, it is easy to see how a license fee-funded broadcaster can buck the trend, because it is not supposed to be subject to a media baron's control. Indeed, in its annual reports and accounts, the BBC routinely acknowledges the challenges of combating fake news, and prides itself on setting the global standard for impartial and trusted news. One of the BBC's touted standard-bearers in this respect is Ros Atkins, who according to them presents a series of explainer videos, outlining the background to newsworthy topics, which has been hailed for its innovative approach to impartiality. The BBC goes on to proudly proclaim that Ros's videos have become viral successes on social media, with millions of views. It was therefore fitting that Ros presented an explainer video on the newsworthy injustice that robbed Sir Lewis of his 8th world record-breaking title. One would rightly have expected this trusted British paragon of impartiality to explain to its viewers how the greatest British sportsman was robbed on a global stage. Instead, we got a well-scripted example of how to spread fake news, while representing yourself as a paragon of trust and impartiality. The Channel 4 presenter and unabashed liar, David Coulthard, was allowed to tell a bold-faced lie that there was a rule which allowed the race umpire to do what he did. He was conveniently not asked to substantiate his claim, by citing the rule that he was anchoring his lie on. Of course, it is easy to understand why Liberty Media would want a supposedly trustworthy source like Ros, gaslighting the Abu Dhabi injustice to a global audience. To top up the gaslighting, the BBC's own chief F1 reporter, Andrew Gopher Benson, was used to prop up David's false testimony, with the equally outrageous claim that the sporting regulations did not cover that specific situation. If that is not the definition of word salad, then I don't know what is. It is not so much that the regulations did not cover that specific situation, but rather the regulations did not cover what the umpire did. The crux of the video was that it knowingly put forward the fake news that Michael Marcy could have had the authority to do what he did. Pretending that you cannot distinguish between the truth and the lie is a classic ruse for gaslighting, known as false equivalence. Now, why would this trusted paragon of the truth, in the vanguard of the battle against fake news, engage in such outrageous propagation of fake news? Well, we all know the first and most obvious reason is that every person involved in the making of the video and promoting the fake news must be white, and either indifferent or passionate about finding a white driver to surpass Sir Lewis. But further to the shared racist agenda, John Malone also has the financial and commercial clout to compel servitude. Once the racist emperor decided that it was in his interest for his newest plaything to be rid of Sir Lewis, all his subjects, including the license fee-funded BBC, were bound to do his bidding. Now why would the license fee-funded, multi-billion-pound behemoth known as the BBC be subservient to John Malone? The answer is very simple. Under pressure to generate external funding, about 2/3 of the BBC's revenue now comes from the license fee, while the remainder comes from commercial activities. In the commercial jungle, John Malone is king. As detailed in our previous video, he's the one backing GB News and the largest shareholder in ITV, with other interests including those listed in this chart. On top of which he controls a significant number of the media network and infrastructure needed for many of the content providers to stream their content to the wider public. But here's the clincher, Liberty Media is also the world's largest sports empire, so he provides news, sports, and other content, along with the infrastructure for others to provide their content to the public, so one way or another, you will have to do business with him to get ahead. For example, John is the largest shareholder in ITV, who have a joint venture with BBC, called BritBox. In 2021, BritBox declared a profit of £34 million. Assuming 50% split, that would make £17 million to BBC. Prior to 2021, a wholly owned BBC subsidiary, UKTV, owed one of his subsidiaries, Scripps Network, £20 million. The BBC and its subsidiaries also need Liberty Media's infrastructure to deliver their content to a global audience, so you can see how when Malone says jump, BBC say how high. As the racist BBC prepares for a future with no license fee at all, you can see how they can be motivated to gaslight the theft of Sir Lewis's 8th title, and continue to denigrate him, just to prove themselves to media barons like John Malone. Somewhere between the minimum of £37 million that the BBC got from doing business with Liberty Media in 2021, and the billions that they are looking to earn post-TV license, lies the motivation for lying their asses off to please John Malone. The license fee-funded paragon of impartiality and trust thought that they could get away with propagating fake news about the Black Knight, on behalf of the White Emperor, because we will do nothing. As long as we don't stop doing something, they will be held to account, so sign, share, repost, complain, and let us know what you're doing in the comments section of this video, the online petition, or when reposting our tweet. Thanks.